I don't like doing those end-of-season award things, but I'm going to do one of those end-of-season award things. I would do it a little bit differently. No, I'm going to do it very differently. I don't think it's possible to break things down. The MVP is just this one person. I mean, at the end of the football season, there's people that do great things in different ways. There's different positions. There's different impact. The idea of an MVP, I'm going to define differently than most people define MVP, certainly the way it works now. So I look at this as sort of a end of season 2 or 3 of everything. Every good and then some really bad, because I think there's some that have been an absolute dumpster fire this year. So think of it this way. It's an end of season, best of or worst of 2 or 3 of everything. The MVP, and this is the person that, here's the way I look at MVPs. I know the way it's now structured is it means the most sensational quarterback on a really good team. That's what MVP means now. To me, turn that completely around. MVP, the way to look at an MVP is take a look at a successful team. Find someone who's had a really, really good year, bordering on great year, take them out, and what would happen to that team? I think in one case in the NFL, a team falls completely apart. So I think it's plainly obvious. To me, what player could they not make it without? Not who's a great quarterback on a great team. You remove a player from a team, do they fall apart? MVP for your Dallas Cowboys. Not that anyone cares and not that it matters. I get it. It's not even close. It's Brandon Aubrey, their field goal kicker. He made 40 of 47, 6 field goals beyond 55, and I believe that he will break 67, and I think he might even hit from 7 in the next 2 years. Not that you care, but it's pretty obvious that he's clearly their MVP. The Texans MVP, man, that is not even the top 10 could be an offensive player. I think that's Will Anderson Jr., their soon-to-be great edge rusher. The Texas Longhorns MVP, again, think of it this way. Take that player out. What happens to them? I think it's close between their safety, Michael Taff, their all-everything safety, the guy that is everywhere on a good defense. He had a great year other than a terrible outing against Arizona State. He had a terrible outing in addition to the non-targeting call that would have changed the game. But he didn't have a very good game. Otherwise, he's had a great season. And I put Quinn Ewers in there too, just because when it's mattered, he's played incredibly well. The first part of the year was mad. You know that. But not now. Those two guys just stand out. Okay. So the end of the season, top 2 or 3 in every way. NFL Coach of the Year, I don't know that you can separate them out, but it's fine. Go ahead and do it. Feel free to disagree. Sean McDermott of Buffalo. This is a guy that was dead man walking at the start of the season. And with a no-name offense other than Josh Allen, they start losing people right and left. And we're talking about how they're going to fall apart and he's going to get fired. And they went 13-4. This is a ridiculously good coaching job by Sean McDermott. Andy Reid, it's politically incorrect to give anybody with the Chiefs other than Patrick Mahomes credit. But Patrick Mahomes is the one guy that doesn't deserve credit for what the Chiefs have done this year. Andy Reid does. So Patrick Mahomes throws 11 interceptions. Travis Kelce starts the season fat. They've lost their best running back, and I believe they've gone through 3 different kickers this year, 2 of the 3 due to injury. And they've not scored a game. This is amazing to me. The Chiefs have not scored a game in which they've had 30 points. I believe the only other team not to do that is the Raiders. And yet, we look up again. They find a way to win. They find a way to win regularly, and there's no one in their right mind that would bet against them again. They have the number 1 seed of the AFC, and they're 15-1. Yes, it's Andy Reid's best coaching job. Yes. Sean Payton starts in Denver. He has a rookie quarterback. He's in his second year. They're having to move on from Russell Wilson, who pretty much put them in a hole. They're financially in a hole, but yet take a look. They're in the playoffs. Honorable mention for best coaching jobs in the NFL would go to Kevin O'Connell with the Vikings. Dan Campbell, got to give him credit. And Sean McVay of the Rams, who doesn't get enough credit. And I think that's the sneaky, dangerous team in all the playoffs. The rookie of the year is, most people don't really care about this stuff, but two guys have been sensational. I mean, sensational. Incredible seasons. Brock Bowers, he's been phenomenal. He should win most awards. Brock Bowers is a guy who plays for the Raiders. Last time we looked up, by the way, the Raiders just fired their head coach, but the Raiders have no quarterback, and Brock Bowers, a rookie tight end, is shattering records. He's shattering records that have been around for 30-something years. I don't know about you fantasy nerds. If you've been lucky enough to have him in your league, I got to believe he's helped a lot because this guy's been amazing. He had 112 catches. This is playing for the Raiders with no quarterback. He's the trajectory of Travis Kelce 2.0. He's the younger version of Travis Kelce. It's that simple. So he has 112 catches. He breaks the NFL record for yards by a tight end with 1,200. He's absurd. Jaden Daniels will probably win it because he's a quarterback, and that's the way these things work. It's pretty simple with Jaden Daniels in Washington. They were 4-13 a year ago. Got it? And they're in the playoffs. And he finished fourth in quarterback rating. Now, any year of any point in your career, when you're just behind the names Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow, you're pretty good. He was fourth in quarterback rating behind those three guys. Offensive Player of the Year that's not a quarterback. That's where they should do these awards. I guess I need a name for them, like a name and a sponsorship. I don't know. I don't have a good one. Nothing comes to mind. So if you got an idea, go ahead and throw it out there. But Offensive Player of the Year that's not a quarterback, Saquon Barkley, duh. They're the best team in the NFC. And had he chosen to play this past Sunday, he likely breaks the all-time single-season rushing record set by Eric Dickerson in 1984. Jamar Chase, duh. He just won the receiving triple crown. He led the league in catches. Let me tell you something crazy about the Bengals. And you'll notice this when you see some of the players that I've picked on this. He leads the league in catches. He leads the league in receiving yards. He leads the league in touchdowns. He's broken two records already that have stood for more than 24 years. He is now part of the best combo in the NFL with Joe Burrow. And by the time they're done, there's going to be one slight problem here. They're going to be two of the best, and they're going to go in a category with maybe another group of maybe one other group of quarterback and receiver. Except these two guys, unfortunately, are not going to have the rings. But by the time Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow are done, they'll be one of the best quarterback-receiver duos in the history of the game, and that's not an exaggeration. But what sucks is they won't have a Super Bowl to show for it. What sucks this year is we don't get to see them in the playoffs. In fact, we have to watch Pittsburgh instead go one and done. I don't know how the Bengals, by the way, the Offensive Player of the Year that's not a quarterback, I don't know how the Bengals are terrible because they also have the best defensive player in the league, and yet they can't even make the playoffs. Quarterback of the Year, that's what we now call MVP because that's just the way it works. Lamar Jackson, there's three of them. Separate them out however you want. Lamar Jackson, these are stupid numbers. He won the MVP a year ago, and these numbers are even better than they were a year ago now. These are ridiculous numbers. In fact, some of the quarterbacks are having, a lot of people complaining about quarterback play in the NFL, but you've got this top 1% that is putting up numbers we've never seen before. Check this out. He has more than 4,100 yards passing. He has 41 touchdowns. And to me, the craziest stat that seems to me to make it a slam dunk that he's the best quarterback, all-around quarterback in the game now, he has 4 interceptions. 41 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. To put that in perspective, Patrick Mahomes has 11. Oh, and by the way, he rushed for 800 yards. Here's the thing about Lamar Jackson. This is a better way to look at Lamar Jackson because I think Joe Burrow is the best passer, but Lamar Jackson is the most dominant player in pro football today. Got it? Offense, defense, whatever. He's the most dominant player in the game today. Jared Goff belongs on this list, 4,600 yards passing, 37 touchdowns, blah, blah, blah. Joe Burrow's almost passed for 5,000 yards and 43 touchdowns. He is the best passer since Dan Marino. Honorable mention, of course, goes to Josh Allen and Baker Mayfield. There. The actual MVP. Okay, remember, there's the MVP that will go out, and it's getting a ton of debate. And I don't know if it'll be Lamar Jackson. I don't know if I think it'll probably be Josh Allen. But the actual MVP, that is the player that has carried his team. Okay? You can say, you can have a great player, but they might have a ton of talent around them. That's why Patrick Mahomes is not the most valuable player right now, because the Chiefs are doing it with defense. But the actual MVP, the player you remove and they fall apart, that's Josh Allen. Because you take him out and they are mediocre. They are what are they? They might win 6 or 7 if Josh Allen is not there. If that. No player in the NFL, in my opinion, no player is more important to a franchise because they immediately are mediocre without him. His stats are really good to great, 37 yards passing, 6 interceptions, which is amazing the way he plays. But they're a mess without him. Saquon Barkley, same thing. Chris Jones of the Chiefs, you take him out, that defense is a different story. We're not talking about the number 1 seed in the AFC. Biggest disappointments of the year. There's a lot to go around. There's a train wreck in both the NFL and college. And then there's just stuff, I'm sorry, Aggies, there's just stuff that's just disappointing. Stuff that's just kind of a buzzkill. Okay? Biggest disappointment, of course, in the NFL, again. And I'm not just saying this because he's an easy person to dislike. He's a complete jackass. But it's the Jets and Aaron Rodgers. And I can't figure out what he's going to do next year because I can't figure out, and nobody else can either, what they're going to do next year. But had he quit after the Achilles injury, it would almost seem to make sense, right? The legacy, he's going to be a Hall of Famer no matter what, no doubt. And he should be. But had he quit last year, had he quit and said, you know what, I just can't get my body back into it. I can't get healthy again. I want to do acid. I want to put candle wax on my butt cheeks. I want to hate on Fauci. I want to be in the Trump administration. He'd done all this stuff that he likes to do. Okay? The legacy would be a little bit more solid. It would make sense. But he comes back. He talks a big game. I'm ready to go. And they are a train wreck, and so is he. So I don't know what he does after this. I've given up on trying to figure it out. Whatever it is, it'll be dramatic, and he'll get a ton of attention. But our honorable mention to biggest disappointment goes to C.J. Stroud and the Texans. I know, they're in the playoffs. I got it. I think they're one and done in the playoffs. Is he going to be a great player? Yeah, but you have to pause again. Their offense is awful, shockingly bad. They can't protect him, and he doesn't even look like the same guy. I don't know what to make of what's happened to the Texans this year. They're smart enough as an organization now with the GM. They have a good head coach. They have what we think is a super talented quarterback. They have a really good defense with one of the best young defensive players in the game. It shouldn't look like this, but it did. This year is a really big buzzkill. The other would be Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. Again, same story, except even worse. They should be good. They fired their head coach, and I can't figure out why they can't turn the corner, but they can't. On the college side of biggest disappointments, it would be, again, USC. You pay the head coach, Lincoln Riley, $100 million. You buy him a jet. You buy out his houses. You give his family anything and everything. You give them whatever amount of money you want, and they are mediocre at best. At best. That guy has to be close to getting fired next year. They can't wait around any longer. I think Deion Sanders is the pick there once they fire him, but I guess they're going to give him another chance. But you know what makes it not as embarrassing? And I know the Aggies don't like to be called out, but that end of the year is a major disappointment. That was a buzzkill. To lose to USC was a buzzkill. To see an A&M team that played Notre Dame close, that defended well against Notre Dame to start the year, a team that's looked like they're turning the corner at midseason, looked like their coach Mike Elko with that giant muumuu that he wears, looked like they were turning the corner, and they fell completely on their face the last 4 weeks of the season. They were awful on defense. He even said it. They're awful on defense. They were confused on offense. They were lucky not to be run out of Kyle Field by Texas. They were not competitive. Yeah, I put them in. I know they're not in the category of the Jets. I know they're not in the category of the Texans. I get all that stuff. But to me, at least regionally, they're one of the bigger, if not biggest, disappointments. It felt like it was going in the right direction, and now you don't know what to think about that A&M team, especially on defense now. So there's best and worst of 2 or 3 of everything. A different way to look at some of these awards, because we're about to get to award week, which really means is the best quarterback on the most sensational team. I don't think that's always fair.
Hey Austin, Jeff Ward here, and I never thought I'd be in an accident and need a personal injury attorney. And then sure enough, less than a mile from my house, I was blindsided. I was injured. My world was turned completely upside down. I called DJC Law and their team took care of everything. I got the best result possible. Don't just take my word for it. They have over 1,000 5-star reviews. So if you're injured, call 512-888-9999 and get your justice at teamjustice.com.